Blood of God. Yes, I did. Are you kidding me?
Oh, wow. Oh,
No,
wow.
let's carry our matter until after this class. No,
Yeah.
let's not use class
You
and do
guys
it.
should keep your gist till after this class. So
Got you. My apologies.
okay. So we're just waiting for some minutes. We'll start by 4:05. That's 3 minutes time. Just waiting for other people to join in. In the meantime, my name is Grace Ademola Ademle. Can you guys see me? If you can see me, please just chat. Just say yes, you can see me like clearly. Is it clear? Okay. Thank you, Josh. Everyone, so I'm getting started now. I hope you guys can see my screen. If you can see it, just say yes so that I can get started. In the meantime, you're welcome to this UX Design Masterclass. So, my name is Grace Ademola Adenle, and I'm having this class today because a number of people have been asking, how do I get started in UX, and what do I need to do? Really a lot of questions. So this seems to be the best avenue to get started, to train a number of people to talk to everybody at the same time. So that's the reason why this is. Okay. So I see you guys. I see you, Mercy. I see you, Mr. Abdul Aziz. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right. I see you, Amara. I see everybody, actually. So you guys are welcome. And okay, yes. So someone asked me if I'm recording the session. Yes, I'm actually recording this session. Yeah. Okay. So, well, before we begin, this is going to be a little bit intensive. So if you do not have your writing pad and a pen, please do. Please get one right now. And then I'd like you guys to just write in the chat box what you expect to get out of this training. So what do you expect to get out of this training? What's your expectation? Like, it could be anything. I know you guys actually filled it in a form, but for the sake of every other person, please just type it. Thank you. And also, while you're doing that, I'd like you to tell me what you think UX design is. I'd like to know your perception, yes, of what UX design is, or what do you think a UX designer does. So please also comment with that in the chat section. Okay, someone said they can't hear me. Can every other person hear me? Is everybody hearing me?
I can hear you.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay. So, Toyosi, please check your maybe your network, or try to just jump out and try to jump back in. Okay. Okay. So please just tell me what you expect to get out of this training, and also tell me what you think UX design is. Okay. Okay. Oh, I wish to be a professional UX designer. Okay. Okay, cool. Creating unique digital experiences for products and services. Okay. That's from Josh. That's cool. So I'd also like to know what you guys think a UX designer does, or what you think UX design is. So that's something I'd like to know, because it would be good to know if your perception is the same thing as like every other, like what is the right thing. Amara said knowledge. So knowledge about what? I know knowledge, but knowledge about what? Okay, so let's try to be a little bit specific. Okay, Saka Oladimeji says you like to understand the workflow of a designer. Okay. Mercy says I'm thrilled about designs and I would love to know more about it. Okay, okay. That's really cool. Good. I'm glad to hear that. So the question I asked for those that just joined in is, what do you expect to get out of this training, and what do you think UX design is? While we are getting those responses, I want to tell you what the goal of this, actually two goals of this training. One is to give you guys a proper introduction to the software design space. Okay, so the reason why this is important is because, as you will see down the line, you will realize that a lot of people have different opinion on what they think software design is. Some people think it's about sketching. You will soon say all that. Some people think it's a designer just makes things pretty. So we are going to try to give a proper introduction to the design space. And also arouse your interest in solving problems, because that's really what design is. And we'll get to that in a bit. Rebecca says UX design is studying user behavior and understanding user motivation with the aim of designing better. Wow. Okay. That's actually really close. Yes. Okay. Okay, so, well, Mercy says, I think UX design is about creating functional platforms. Okay, very, very close. So we'll get to these definitions in a bit. And okay, so what we'll be talking about during this session are just majorly four things. And I hope to achieve this in 30 minutes to 40 minutes at most. And so I'm actually about to speed up and really talk fast. So if you think you missed out something, please just comment and then I'll try to go over it as much as possible. Okay, so the first thing we'll be talking about is we'll be discussing software development, just a bit, and we'll be talking about this in probably 5 minutes at most. And we're talking about product design. We're talking about all the things that comes into creating software, DevOps, product management, software testing, all that. And I'll let you know why we need to talk about that first before going into UX design. The second thing we'll be doing is we'll be going a little bit into the introduction to a little introduction into UX design and software development. And basically we'll be talking about the design life cycle. So how does it work in a team? How does that even work? From the problem to solution, how does that come alive? Okay. The other thing we'll be doing is we might dive in. This is depending on how quickly and we're able to interact and get very far. We might dive into some basic UX methodologies, and that would be us talking about UX research, sketching, design, all those kind of things. And then lastly would be choosing a design problem together. So that would be more practical. Sure, everything we're going to be doing them together. So I'm going to be expecting you guys to like type a bit. Okay, so now going ahead to this, the different parts in software, like you would already know, a number of us know there's front end. Some people have heard of front end developer, back end developer, product designer, UX designers, DevOps, which is a little bit not very common, product management, software testing. So you hear that some people are testers or people that automate stuff. So those are what we'll be discussing in this section. And okay, now why we need to talk about this is because it's important for you to know that UX designers do not work in isolation at all. We're not people that we don't just do stuff without every other person. So it's relevant for you to know the other pieces that work together, or the other people that work together with you as a UX designer. Then you need to know that UX design involves everybody. It involves the users, involves the product manager, it involves you even as the programmer, for those that are programmers here. And then so knowing that will make you to know that, okay, it's not really about me, it's about the whole team, it's about everybody. Okay, now the first thing is, okay, so I didn't ask you guys if you could see my screen because I've been showing my screen. So if you can't, please just say yes. Okay, so we have the designer, that's like me or like you. That's the person that thinks about, okay, yes, thank you, Mercy. So the person that thinks about how things look like, how how they work, like Mercy earlier said. Okay, thank you, Rebecca. So the person that thinks about how things look like and how they work. So functionality and look. So that's the UX designer, or that's the designer. Let's leave it at designer first. So a designer uses tools such as Figma, Adobe Exit, Sketch, Photoshop, Illustrator, all these type of tools. There are so many. It's based on preference and the goal of the project. The designer could choose either one or any one of them. The other person in software is the front-end developer. So the front-end developer is someone that obviously converts designs into codes. The front-end developer relies on the designs that are made by the designer. So whatever the designer, the UX designer gives to the front-end developer, they convert it into code. And they use technologies such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Vue. Those are some of them. There are many others. Okay, now the next person we'll talk about is the back-end developer. And this is someone that connects front-end codes to a database and wires it up. So if there's something you're unfamiliar with, please let me know. But I'm rushing through this part because it's not actually the focus of this class. Okay, so this person, that's the backend developer, uses technologies such as PHP, Java, Python, C#, and there are so many others. Okay, so now we have the software tester. Software tester is someone that makes sure that the software follows the business and the user requirements. So after everybody has created all the solution, at the end of it, we have to make sure that we follow the requirements that came in, either through user research or from the business. So it has to make sure that, okay, this is standard, this follows the industry rules, this is satisfactory, all this. So, okay, so someone's asking me, please, will the recorded video be sent to all participants? Okay, we'll see about that. Yeah. Okay, so now we also have the product manager. So this person it's important for us to talk about the product manager because this is the person that defines why, when, and what of the product and of the product that the engineering team builds. So this person works hand in hand actually with the designers or with the UX designer. So, okay. Now DevOps, this I will skip over it. So if you want to know who a DevOps person is, just Google it. You get much more information than I can talk about. But basically, it's also part of the software development team and just helps things work much smoothly when you want to release software and all that. So I don't want to talk about that one. It's a different talk altogether. Okay, now getting into UX design, the question for many people is usually why? Like, why do we even need UX design? What is UX design? Why do we need it? What are the elements of UX design? What is the return on investment of UX design? Why does a client need to hire UX designer? Why does it not just go straight to go and get the person that writes the codes? Why does a company need to invest in UX designers? So then we'll also touch on the UX design lifecycle. So how does it start from the beginning to the end, from problem to solution? Okay. So now the first, let's talk about what software design on its own is. Software design is is the process of transforming users or business requirements into something that is visual so that you can validate the requirements or so that you can test ideas and features and so that you can aid code translation. So what this means in simple English is that software design is about transforming what you get from the user, what the user says they want or what the business says they want, into something that can be seen, something that you can understand visually, so that we can validate those requirements that we got from the users or the business, and so that we can also test ideas, and so that we can also help the developers to write their codes easily. Okay. We'll still break this down a bit. And so let's focus now on UX design. So UX design is basically how, or user experience on its own, is how a person feels when interacting with a system. So that's just user experience. So it could be with interacting with website or mobile app or a desktop software or basically any human device interaction. So this is I got this from UX Planet, that's a platform online. So this definition is about UX, or user experience, from basically talking about it from software or computer devices point of view. Now you need to know that UX is not limited to technology. UX it has okay. So the thing is, user experience is not all about computers, it's not about software, mobile apps, all those kind of things. User experience is such as you walking into a restaurant and you enjoyed the service from the very first moment you walked in to when you stepped out. User experience is about going into a bank and I don't have to spend 2 hours to get something done. Well, that's a bad user experience. So for it, what I'm trying to say is that UX is not limited to technology. So user experience design could be designing any experience of users. That's it. Okay. So now looking at this diagram, you'd see that there's user research at the top. Then you see it goes to design and then build. So this is the iterative process of UX design. This is basically how UX design starts and then ends. This is a very simplistic diagram from interaction design. And this shows you that the very first thing that a UX designer does or is expected to do is to research. So when users research is done, then you design, which is the one that most people think a UX designer does, which is sketching. So you then design and then build. That's the coding part. So this automatically shows you that a UX designer is part of the whole process, like from the beginning to the end, from when we find out that the user wants something to the very end, when we deliver that product or that feature to the user. Okay, I hope that is clear. So far, are we good? Please let me know if you're following so far. Okay. Okay, wow. I think I'm loving Zoom's user experience. So something, they just popped up a message for me. I was going to tell you guys very soon now, 40 minutes has elapsed. But they just told me that they've removed 40 minutes limits. Yeah, that is a gift to me. Okay. So that's a particular user experience that I'm loving right now. Okay, so I'm expecting your feedback. So far, are we communicating? Are you understanding what we're saying? Yes, following. Okay, cool. Okay, so yes, we're doing very well, Josh. Okay, cool. So why user experience design? Why do we think it's important? And I'll be talking about this because it's something that everybody needs to know, because it's not just about technology companies. As a business owner that owns a food company or a salon or anything, literally, you need to understand why user experience design is important. So the first thing is that it increases companies' revenue. So when UX design is done properly, it helps your products, or it helps your customers to prefer your product to others, to your competitors. It helps, for instance, okay, let me ask. So have you been wondering why you like one particular website or one particular app more than the other? For instance, do you prefer Instagram to Facebook, or you prefer Facebook to Instagram, or you prefer LinkedIn to one other platform? The response for me is, I always wonder, actually. I'm someone that always wonders why one particular thing, like say Instagram, some people prefer it to something like Facebook. So I want to know, which one do you guys prefer? Do you prefer Instagram to Facebook? That's for people that do social media. I want to know what you guys think. Is it Instagram or Facebook for you? Oh, just say Instagram. Okay. Do you know why you prefer what you prefer? I want to know what you guys think. Please, you guys should interact too. I can see those people that are interacting. I can see those that are not interacting. Interact very well.
I don't have my family members on Facebook, so that's why. Like, I don't have my family members on Instagram. That's my own user experience.
I see. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, so I would like if you guys comment so that everybody can see, and so that I can just like rush through. Someone said I prefer Instagram. Okay, Messi, I don't get to do it too much. I do too much as I do on Facebook, since everybody prefers Instagram. Wow. Facebook needs to do some work. Okay, So another reason why UX design is important, now this is from development point of view, is because you get to spend way less time on development. So there was a research that was done to reveal that a lot of time, 50% of the time, software developers just spend their time on reworking projects. The same thing they've done before they redo it. And I know what that means. And the reason is because, yes, the reason is because there was no design, there was no proper research. And design, again, I'm repeating this, is not just the visual part, is the whole process of talking to the users, carrying the users along with you while you're creating that solution, so that in the end you don't realize that, oh wow, shoot, we've created something that nobody really needs. So Toyosu said, oh, she sent this privately to me. It'd be nice if you send this to the whole group at once. She said Facebook user experience has been great. I believe no one will go on Facebook if the interface still looks like what it is in 2013. Okay, well, different people have different opinions. So another thing is that if UX design is done properly, you would say that it helps increase customer loyalty. The same thing as what we said earlier. It helps you to increase the company's revenue and then increase customer loyalty, because you not just attract new customers, you actually be able to retain them, which is why I think I prefer Instagram to Facebook as well. So positive experience is what make people to stick to something. That's it. And as you would have seen, all these things we've been talking about are not stuff that are limited to just technology or just technology product or software. They are stuff that has to do with everything. It's the reason why you prefer one particular business over the other. As a guy, it's the reason why you prefer to go to one particular barber, someone that barbs your hair, over other guys, other places. So, okay. Now, some elements of UX design are the fact that it's ease of use, reduced number of steps, and clear call to action. So for instance, if you went to Jumia or Amazon and you're not able to check out, it looks beautiful and everything, but you're not able to check out, you're not able to pay, enter your card details and pay, then what's the point? Like, or even if you're able to do it, it's difficult for you to find where the checkout button is. Maybe it's hidden at one corner. Then would say that has bad UX design, or you have a bad user experience while using it. Then another thing is that UX design helps you to reduce the number of steps. So for instance, if you go somewhere, a particular app, and you have to click, for instance, Facebook now, if you wanted to like a post, and you have to click and then click, only to like a post, like, would you really bother? Like, you would just jump ahead and go and do something else because there's too much steps. So this is one of the elements of UX design. That's something that is usually designed to make sure that people get to do stuff that they want to do in very less steps. Then the last thing I'll be talking about here is clear call to action. So if you saw, when you wanted to check out, again, I'm using e-commerce. If you wanted to check out on Amazon and you saw make payments instead of checkout, or you saw pay now, or you saw something that doesn't communicate, you just want to check out. Or if you wanted to even add to cart, let's say you wanted to add to cart a particular product you saw on an e-commerce site, and then you saw pay now instead of add to cart, I'm sure you would not click pay now when you just want to add that thing to cart. So you definitely will understand what that was about. Okay, now let's go a little bit more into UX design. But before we go ahead, does anybody have any questions? If you have questions, please just drop it, and then we'll get to it. This can be about how much you think, how much does UX designer earn, or how does someone get a job, or how do I convince? It could be any kind of question, so feel free to just comment. Okay, so now, what do people think that UX designers do? So that was why I asked that question at the very beginning, because perception is key. If people do not understand what you do as a UX designer properly, then you probably won't be able to convince them to buy your service. So, okay, someone is already asking some questions. I'll take those questions. You guys can keep on dropping them. So firstly, some people think that UX designers sketch. Somebody thinks that they make beautiful websites. So I actually got these responses from one of the assignments I gave one of the people. I don't know if she's here on the platform right on this masterclass right now, but someone I gave an assignment to ask people what they think a UX designer does, and then these were some of the responses that she got. So one of it was that UX designers are probably advanced graphic designers or they make beautiful websites. The last two are quite close to what a UX designer actually does. For me, what people think I do, some people think I'm just a programmer, some people think I'm a web designer, while some people think I do graphic designer. And I find myself having to tell people a number of times that I am not a graphic designer. I am not a graphic designer. Like, I have to repeat it a lot of times because some people expect me to be designing flyers or designing some things. And I'm like, no, that's not my job. I don't do that. I can do it, but it's not what I do. Okay, so now some subsets of UX design are, okay, before we go into that, you look at this diagram on the left, you see that there are so many things around CX, and CX means customer experience. So customer's experience has to do with, like I said earlier on, when you walk into, say, Domino's or any restaurant, and then the experience you feel, either through during the sales process or how advertisement is being delivered to you, or how your product is being delivered to you, or customer service, everything, including now your user experience with interacting with the platform, all that is customer experience. So you can see right here that UX on its own is a subset of customer experience. It's a part. Cool. So now if you look to the right, you'd see this that shows content strategy, user research, visual design, information architecture, usability, interaction design. You see all these things around user experience. And I put this diagram because it is important for you to know that user experience on its own, user experience is not just one of these pieces on its own. So for instance, we won't say user experience is user research. User experience is not graphic design. All these things we are mentioning, all these things around there are parts or elements or subsets, let me say a subset of user experience design. So information architecture, for instance, that has to do with how information or how content is arranged on a product, whether it's a mobile app or it's a website or whatever it is. So that's information architecture. Usability is whether you can even use it. Does it function properly? Like Mercy said earlier on, that she thinks UX design is about creating stuff that are functional. So interaction design, okay, does it, all those transition effects and all those kind of things, that's also part of UX design. So all these things you see around there are actually things that some people specialize in. There are people that are content strategists. So I'm talking about this so that you know that being a UX designer, you can be an information architect. You can be a visual designer. Which is what some people call graphic design. You can be, or in this sense, that is a UI designer, actually. That's a UI designer in this sense. Or you could just be a researcher. For instance, I have a friend that she's just a user researcher. She does not sketch anything. And she's a UX designer. That is UX design. She specializes in that. So it's important for you to know that there are so many parts that you can specialize in, even in UX design. Or you could be all of it, actually. Okay. Now, from the context of eating, the content here is like the cereal you want to eat. So that's what people are actually looking for. User interface is what you use to interact with it. That is the tool. So I'm already attempting to respond to your question, Saka, Maladimeji. And then your user experience is the combination. That is like the act of the experience while you're interacting with the content while using the user interface. So user interface is what you see, while user experience is how you feel while using what you see. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but if you have more questions, please let me know. But I believe this image is actually quite self-explanatory. Okay. So now elements of UX design, again, you can see this information architecture, visual design. So this, I just broke this down more to see that there are so much more elements in UX design, such as the typography or user persona or all these many things that are in user experience design. So these are things that you would actually learn in a full-blown UX design class. So yeah, so is it safe to say that UI is a subset of UX? Yes, very, very safe. That's exactly what it is. UI is actually a subset of UX. User interface design is a subset of user experience design. So someone could be a user interface designer, but not a user experience designer. But if you're a user experience designer, then you're definitely going to understand user interface design. So if you learned UX design properly, you know all these things. But there are many people that are just UI designers. Okay. So here again, there's another diagram that is showing how all the pieces in software development work together. So to the left, the arrow goes all the way down to the human focused. We'll talk about that in a bit. To the right, you see technology focus. So to the right here is where you see your front-end developers, back-end developers, all the developers, they are towards the technology. They are more focused on the technology itself, how you build it, the platform and everything. Why to the left here, you'd see more of interacting with the people themselves that are going to use this this app or this software or whatever it is. So here you see information design, interaction design, visual design. Again, you see research, and you see the user experience designer who handles all these parts. And then here, for those that think that graphic design is UX design or think both ways, you see that a graphic designer handles the part of visual design. So that's who a graphic designer is, and this is who a UX designer is. So you see this, a UX designer may not be a graphic designer. Okay. So yeah, and then you see this UI developer. This is basically someone, a UI developer. Noting the word developer there is someone that understands visual design but can also write the codes for it. So there was someone that reached out to me. I can't remember her name right now. Someone reached out to me saying that she was interested in design and also interested in front end. So that's, you would be a UI developer. Okay. Okay, so there is this video I wanted to play, but I may not be able to play right now because of time. And here we're talking about the return on investment of user experience design. So here is just the same thing we've discussed earlier on. That's why do we have to invest in user experience design? And one of it is what we said, increases company revenue. It helps you it helps a designer actually eases the work of developers, and also it helps to cut down waste of money, waste of time, because you end up building exactly what the users need if done properly. Okay. So again, a UX design is a process that design teams use to create products that provide meaningful and relevant experiences to users. I believe that's actually like just straight up. It's just a summary of all we've been trying to say. So what makes good user experience? First is that is usability. The second is that it's aesthetically pleasing. And then the third is that it delights you, the user. So usability is that can the user actually perform what they want to perform? For instance, Gigi is not particularly visual appealing. This is my opinion, actually. This is my own opinion, that Gigi is not particularly visually appealing, but it works. So that's the fact that Gigi is usable. It has great usability. Then aesthetically pleasing. So that's, does it look good? Does the user enjoy using it as per visually? Does it appeal to the user? So I personally make a comparison between Telegram and WhatsApp. Telegram is very functional. In short, it has some really cool features that WhatsApp doesn't have. But I enjoy using WhatsApp more than Telegram just because it looks better. Like, it just looks better. Yeah. Then delight, does it make the user delighted to use the product? For instance, when on a MacBook, if you're familiar, when you want to trash something, when you want to send something to your dustbin, to the recycle bin, what Windows users call recycle bin, you'd hear that sound. Like, I just love the sound. There are sometimes I actually trash stuff just so that I can hear the sound, that cool sound, and then I will undo to get my file back. So that for me is one of the reasons why I enjoy using a MacBook, because it's delightful. Apart from the fact that, like, the finger movements, the finger movement and the sound, everything is just delightful. So, or Facebook, when you want to post, when a post goes through, like when you post something, it makes one sound like one nice sound. Yeah. So these are the elements, these are things that make a good user experience. So someone is actually unmuted. Please, please mute yourself. Thank you. Yeah, so Bessie said, I haven't heard of a UI developer. Cool. UI developer is equal to visual plus coding. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I trash things for delight, Mercy. I do. Okay. Phases of UX design. We have empathize, we have define, we have ideate, prototype, and then test. These are the five major, so these are the five phases of UX design. So the very first thing that a UX designer needs to have, the very first, like, personality thing you need to have is the fact that you have empathy. You must have empathy for people. Okay. Oh, sorry, I was trying to mute the person. I think that was Amara also. Okay. So empathy is basically you being able to put yourself in the shoes of the users. So that's empathy. And then defining the problem, then ideate, and that's where you start thinking of the ideas, then prototype, and then test. So these are the five phases that we have to go through while carrying out a UX design process. So now, I would keep on repeating empathy, empathize, because that's the most important thing. You need to know that, okay, it's not about me, it's about my users. It's really not about me. When you design, when you're going through stuff, it's not the fact that you like to, it's not what you like, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. So here you can see these five phases again. Discovery. So this is someone else's breakdown of the UX design process, but you know that discovery is about, for you to discover something, you have to empathize. For you to discover what the user wants, you have to be in their shoes. So here it's about, I have a challenge, how do I approach it? I learned something, how do I interpret it? What do I create? So I won't be able to go deep into all this, but this is another way of breaking down the UX design phases. Okay. Now, this is Stanford's design thinking process, their design school. So this is how they break it down. Again, it's empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. And then it tells you what you do at different phases. To be a UX designer, you do not need to have any special skills. That's something else you need to know. You just need to be able to get out of yourself and be able to put yourself in the user's shoes. Then you're good to go, because things like interviewing, how to carry out research, some of these things are actually being taught to us in university, in school, for those that went to university. So unlike me, but so some of these things, most of these things have actually been taught to us in school, like interviews, surveys, and so on. Then empathize is just about you being non-judgmental and you being willing to understand what the user is going through. Then define is where you break it down. Okay, these are the problems that we've realized that people are having. So now how do we break this down into, like, challenges? What are their pain points? All those kind of things. That's defining. So after defining their problem, then you now say, okay, it's time to start thinking of ideas. How do we come up with ideas that are worthy of solving this problem? So how do we, there are different ways of going about this ideation process. But again, we can't really go deep into that. Then the next thing is then prototyping. Prototyping involves, this is actually the part that most people think a UX designer is. Most people think that being a UX designer is about sketching. It's about you drawing stuff. That is just one phase, as you've seen here. That's like the fourth phase actually, which is prototyping. Here is where you start doing mock-ups, you do sketches, you do storyboards. Basically, the idea here is for you to keep it simple, fail very quickly, and iterate, because this whole process is not about from empathize to then define, then ideate. It's not a linear process. It's not something that goes from one to the next to the next to the next. You could empathize, and then while you're empathizing, while you're talking to users, you could start getting ideas. So you've jumped define, but you're already in ideas. From there, you could start sketching right on the spot while you were talking to a user. So you probably would be prototyping. And maybe when you're testing the solution, you now realize that, oh, I didn't get that problem right. Then you're back to empathize. So that's what it means to say that UX design is not a linear process. And you still see that ahead of us right now. Okay, so this is another design process called Double Diamond. We will be going into this in a deeper session, in a deeper class, when we are going to be doing practicals on this design process. So again, I'm saying that the aim of this class is just to introduce you into UX design and the steps or the processes that are involved, so that you would know if it's something that, yeah, I'm interested in doing this and I want to go deeper in a class. Okay. So yeah, here again, this tells you discover, define, develop, deliver, involve. This is also the double, this is actually the, excuse me, this is actually the double diamond. These are different ways of still saying the same thing. Different people break this down in different ways, basically. So here in discover, that's about empathizing. You see all these ways of doing research, and then defining, you see this. So all these are like the deeper parts of this UX design phases. Okay. Now you need to also know that UX design is all about the user. It's all about the user. It's user-centered. So we have what we call user-centered design, and you need to know that user experience design is basically, okay, let me say user-centered design is the optimistic approach to inventing new solution. You would see sometimes when there's one picture I saw recently. I wasn't able to get it for this. I was thinking about it, but I didn't get the picture. There was this picture I saw that a dog house was created. They created a dog house, and then the dog is supposed to live inside the dog house, right? It's supposed to go inside, but this dog literally just climbed the side of the dog and was sleeping like on the roof, kind of, because it was very funny to me when I saw it. And the reason is probably because the designer of that house, it looked nice, but it was not very usable for the user. In this case, the user is the dog. So it was not about the owner of the dog house or the owner of the dog, because like the owner of the dog is not the one that's going to live inside the dog house, right? So this is to say that user experience design is all about the user. It is user-centered, and it starts with the human beings and ends with answers that are tailored to their individual needs. And like I've said again, you see empathy at the top of the list. Principles you need to have as a user experience designer is empathy. You have to be optimistic that, yeah, I'm going to find the solution to this problem. Okay, so maybe when you're talking to, research could be a little bit frustrating, honestly. So while you're talking to a user, you can realize that, oh, since we have not found the problem. So maybe you plan to do research, user research, maybe for a week, or you might find out, okay, so we need to find out this a little bit more. Maybe when you go back and you're trying to define the problem, you realize that, okay, we need to still go deeper in finding out some more things. So you need to be optimistic. You need to understand that it's iterative, and you need to be confident of your creative ability. You have to believe in the ability to make as well. You have to be able to embrace ambiguity, because some things may not be clear from the beginning. And also, lastly, you have to be able to learn from failure. So these are actually soft skills. This has nothing to do with the fact that, oh, you should be able to, what this to say? You should be able to sketch. You should be like creative. Here, the only place you see creative is telling you should be confident of your creativity, not even the fact that you should be creative in quotes. Okay. Now, let's think about this, and this is where you guys are going to interact again. I would like to know what's your favorite app. Let's know, apart from Instagram, I've mentioned, any favorite app, and tell me why it's your favorite app. Then also, you can answer any one of these questions very quickly. You can pick any one of them. When you think of Facebook, what color comes to mind? Anybody can answer anyone they want to answer. Then also think of some apps and tell me what color comes to your mind, even apart from Facebook. Oh, Messi said blue once. Awesome. So what about Instagram? Why does Instagram use color red for its like button? Why do you think they use color red for their like or love? Then why do you think Instagram does not have a button to hate a post? Let me know. Then also, why do you think that e-commerce sites make use of shopping cart icon? Why do you think they use the shopping icon? Okay, says YouTube red. Yes, YouTube red. Okay, Facebook blue. Mercy says, I love the InShot app. Okay. Okay. So why do you like the app above other apps? Do you even know other apps? Have you bothered to even know other apps? Or did you love that app so much that you were not interested in knowing other apps? Okay. So you guys, I'm actually waiting for you guys' response to these questions. Okay. Saka says, shopping icon because it depicts it is depicting the physical stores. Exactly. That's the reason why everywhere on e-commerce sites you don't see them now using something that they will not use a handbag now. They will not come and start showing a handbag or show you a purse to depict to explain that there you can click on that to check out. No, they would use a shopping cart because it uses real life experiences. She says she loves Canva. Amara says WhatsApp because I have only my contacts. It's kind of close and secure, unlike Facebook. Amara, where did you get that opinion from? That WhatsApp is more secure than Facebook. Okay, I'd like to hear that. Okay, Rebecca said probably because red is catchy for Instagram. Like, I think it's because it's catchy. Okay, cool. Saka says Netflix uses red and black because cinemas have red seats somehow and a dark room. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. I never thought of it that way, actually. Okay, cool. Interesting. Blessing says Jumia orange. Oh, Jumia orange. Okay, for me, I don't know actually for Jumia because I don't know. I use them, but I can't really say I really love it. So I don't think the color actually stuck. Or maybe because I see so many colors on Jumia, so not really stuck. I don't know. Mercy says, I love the InShot so much that I stopped looking for others. I love that I can create videos using clips and pictures on my phone on the go without needing my laptop for complex video edits. I think I'm going to go and check out InShot because of this. WhatsApp green, LinkedIn blue. So do you see what just happened where I just said, I think I'm going to go and check out InShot. So this is someone, Mercy, says she really loves InShot, that she's not bothered to check something else. That is her being loyal. And this is as a result of great user experience design. So she's now loyal to InShot that she has already told me about it. She doesn't know she has sold something to me, but she actually has, because once I'm done with this, I'm going to go and check out InShot. So that's what happens when user experience is done really well, when user experience design is done really well. Okay, my connection is breaking. Okay, I'm trying to figure it out. But can you guys hear me right now? Can you hear me clearly? Can you guys hear me? Okay, yes. Okay, yes, we can. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's go ahead. So you need to know that little design details make the difference on users' experience. Just like you guys have seen, very, very little things make a difference. Yeah, Amara answered. Amara answered the question of why do you think Instagram doesn't have a hate button? She says because Nigerians are savage. Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't know if that's the reason, because Instagram is not particularly created for just Nigerians, but yeah. I think it's because, personally, I think from a little research I've done, I think Instagram doesn't have a hate button or anything negative at all, because they want to create a feel-good experience on Instagram. That's all they are about. So it's for everybody to feel good while using it. That's why people can keep on scrolling endlessly and double tapping all day, because there's that feel-good experience. You see that you can never reach the bottom of Instagram. Like, you're always scrolling. You always be scrolling forever. So, because they want to keep you addicted, which, by the way, is actually a form of manipulation. That we'll talk about. Maybe we'll talk about that in a detailed class. There is actually user experience. There's some level of manipulation that could be used, which is a bad thing in while designing users experience, because you really understand users behavior, then you then use it against them, yeah, and then get them addicted. So the look and feel, you should also know that the look and feel of an app are only one aspect of a great UX. It has to be very usable as well, and it has to delight the users. Then you should also know that users react differently to look and feel, and you should actually research your users to know what really matters to them. Okay. You should know you're not your users. Your users are not like you, and they are not you. You should know that users do not know your product as much as you do. You're the one that knows your product. It's your job to communicate it to them. It's your job to tell them what they need to know. What you call common sense, like you may call it common sense that, yeah, it's common sense for them to be able to know that this is what this means. This is what I mean by these particular words that I use on my button. So, but it's common sense only to you, but it may be foreign to them. It may be a foreign concept. If your users do not understand your design, it's not because they are not smart. It is because you are just not clear. It's because you didn't research it properly. You probably didn't talk to someone. You didn't talk to them before, you didn't communicate with your users before you created it. And part of why everybody seems to prefer Instagram to Facebook is because they carry out a lot of user experience. You don't know they are carrying out user experience, but they've talked to somebody like me, they've talked to somebody like you everywhere. They've discussed it with them, and they are watching our action while we are using. That's actually a form of user testing. While you're using your app, if there are buttons that people do not use a lot, if there are buttons that people do not use a lot, they know. So also, you should know that design decisions must be made on the knowledge of our users, and your designs must be tested. It must always be tested with real users. Okay. So, yeah. So it's actually time for every one of us to think about a particular problem, something that bugs you around you, and then you tell us what that problem is, and then we'll try to vote, kind of. Okay, so the intention was that before we go into practical, the intention was for us to delve a little bit more into UX methodologies, but we've actually talked a lot about this. And so what I would do is to go down to the section where we actually get to have this interaction. Okay. So this is basically talking about all the design processes. The first one, which is user research, where we talked about empathy, and then user research analysis, which is what we call define. And then this is an example of an affinity diagram I worked on a project. And then next thing is where you draft out your user personas and flows. So this is another way of breaking down the UX research process. And then here is where you prototype, where sketching, wireframes as prototype. Then the fifth one, which is test. Okay, so this is an example of my sketch and wireframes, and then user testing. So those are the 5 major phases. So again, we're saying that user design is not a linear process. It's something that you could go back and forth on. Yeah, you may have to repeat some of this process several times to be in sync with your users' needs. So now it's time for us to choose a particular design problem together. So let me show you how we're going to do it. Very simple. So you just think of what are some frustrations for you. For me, I give some examples. So it could be that you have to walk long distances, very long distances to purchase food. It could be looking for handy workers for some painting or furniture work. It could be needing a way to give feedback for poor or excellent services. Maybe when you go to a restaurant or a bank. Like for me, I like to leave feedback. Or it could be needing a cleaner for your home or your office, but you just can't find anybody. So what are some frustrations for you? I want you guys to start typing it. Just think about it for a minute, and then Just type it. Let me know what is a frustration for you, or let us know what's a frustration for you. We are waiting for you. So quickly think about it. Take a minute to think about that. Try not to choose my own, please. Okay. What are some frustrations for you? 1 and 2. No, Mexicali, don't choose 1 and 2. Tell me what's your own frustration. It could be anything. Like I said, I gave some of these examples. My own example is the fact that I always have to walk. Sometimes I have to walk long distance to purchase food. And it's not because I cannot find a platform that I'll just order food, but also the waiting time to get the food sometimes is frustrating for me. So I just rather just go and buy it. So that's a frustration for me. So I'm waiting for what are frustrations for you guys. Let me check. Okay. So someone says lack of electricity. I live in an area where it's difficult to get comfortable transportation. That's mercy. Becca says, the stress of going to the salon to make hair. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Cool. Okay, so based on these responses from you guys, seeing that a lot of people have frustrations, what I'm trying to achieve with asking for your frustrations is the fact that you know that UX design is about solving problems. So there's always problems. There are usually a lot of problems in our environments that need solving. So what is to be done as a UX designer is you go and talk to other people, because for instance, some people could see this. Let me choose one of this problem as an example. Okay, I live in an area where it's difficult to get comfortable transportation. Let me choose a salon on the stress of going to salon to make hair. So this particular one, the solution could be, let's be doing home service for users, for customers. Or another option could be, that's from a business point of view, or another option could be, why don't we create a solution, a platform where people can be able to log in and just see different styles that they can make by themselves on their own hair. Now, those are two different solutions. But if you remember when we went through the design phases, you saw research, then you saw define, then ideate. What I have done right here is to jump ahead straight into ideating, and then I'm already telling you solutions. But how do I know that the solution to the problem of some people going to the salon to make hair is actually DIYs, them doing their hair by themselves? Do we know whether they like to do their hair by themselves? Do you know if that's a solution? So some people could have gone ahead. This is what happens a lot of time. People go ahead straight into, okay, let's create an app that people can be able to log in, and they'll pay some money per month, and then they'll learn how to do some hairstyles by themselves. But that may not be the solution. So that's why user experience design is very important. That's why you need to carry out research, put yourself in the shoes of the users. And then Blessing says, stress of going to the market to get groceries. That is a very valid point, very, very valid one. And then it helps to know that the fact that you have a problem, you have a problem. It's valid that you have a problem, but you need to be able to validate that problem as well with a larger audience. That's what research is about. So, well, I'm actually done with this, and then thank you guys for participating in this session. So the next steps for you would be the fact that you need to validate this problem you've chosen with the whole community or with the whole world. And how is that done? It's done with user design research. So I'm actually done with this session. So what a UX designer will do now is to, okay, these are some problems that people are having. It's time for me to solve this problem. Let me find out if other people are having this problem. Let me find out what they would prefer should be done. Users may have the solution to the problem, but they just are not able to prefer the solution by themselves. So that's it for now. And then I'd like to say that I will be having a session, a mentorship program, actually, mentorship program that's going to be coming up coming up in September. And then the aim of this program is to train you guys on a number of things on, we're going to be actually doing more of practical. It's not going to be me sitting down in front of you guys talking and talking. It's going to be us doing research together. We're actually going to talk to real life people. I'll teach you guys how to go through the process of doing research online now in this COVID period. And then that will be the user research class. And then I'll also teach you guys how to talk to people physically, how to read body language, how to understand what people are saying that they're not really saying, how to know what people are even thinking that they're not actually saying. So we'll do that. And then also, in addition, we'll then be going into how to define your problem. How do you collaborate with other, either other designers or other, your stakeholders? How do you collaborate with these people to be able to create a solution that is going to be what people want? So we'll be talking about that in that session. Actually, not talking, we'll be doing that together in that session. So we'll pick an actual problem. So the way you guys have mentioned a lot of problems, you're giving me ideas actually for the class, giving me ideas for the class. So we'll probably choose one of these, or maybe we'll still all choose one together in the class and then vote on it. And then we'll go through the whole process of research, defining the problem, going ahead to ideating, thinking of solution, and then validating that solution, whether that solution will actually work for your users. And then we'll then go ahead into prototyping, which is sketching, and then designing, and then we'll test again with users. So those 5 phases are what is it's going to be a practical session. And then in addition, I would also, this is actually going to be like a bonus, which is to train you guys on how to actually get projects, how to get jobs that actually will pay. And I would also be going through the process of applying for some jobs for those that will be interested in applying for jobs, those that want to work for business. We'll talk about some business ideas. And then that's basically what that program is about. And like I said just now, it's going to be in September. Yeah. So I would like, if you're interested in this, to, yes, thank you, Mercy. So if you're interested in this, so you receive an email from me after this session for more information also. And then it's going to be most likely from the 2nd week in September. And so, please hold on. Okay, so it's going to be from the 2nd week in September, and it's going to be for 4 weeks. It's a 4 weeks program, and we're going to be running it weekends. So it's going to be very intensive, full weekends. And then it's actually a paid program, not very expensive. It's paid. And we're going to be doing a promo. So it's actually going to be 70K, and I want only 5 people. It's actually only 5 people I want in the class. And I know a number of people had difficulties with joining this class. I actually got some messages, but I wasn't able to attend to them. So I'll put up this video would be somewhere online. I'll put it up so that people can be able to watch the replay and learn what UX design actually is, and be able to know if it's something they actually want to go along with. So yeah, it's a paid program. It's going to be 70K, but maybe for the first, I'm not very sure yet, maybe for the first 2 people or 3 people, they get to pay 50K, and that has to be done like as soon as possible. Because the reason why I'm announcing this right now is because I don't want a session where we start the program in September, and then we have to now start going through a lot of theory, and I don't have the time to actually practicalize and achieve all the other goals. So I need those that are interested in this to respond, like that's after this whole training, this today. I need you guys to respond as soon as possible to the email that I will send, so that I can start sending out the other resources for this program, so that we can see all the resources that you need to read and respond to, with the worksheets you need to fill and all those kind of things. Those things can be done before the mentorship program actually starts. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm actually done. So I see that a lot of people attended. And if you think someone would like to watch this, someone that maybe wasn't able to join in, you can let me know. I think everyone that joined this place actually has my email. So if I don't have your email, please drop it here. If you joined in through some other means, please drop it so that I can be able to forward this the link to you once this video is up. And so thank you very much, anyone. Does anyone have anything to say? Any questions, any comments, anything at all? Please feel free to do that right now before we wrap this up. Okay, so yeah, so we just have okay, so Amara dropped her email. This has been very insightful. Thank you so much. Oh, Mercy says so. Thank you very much. So okay, if you have any questions, please just drop in. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, no, so that I can know and wrap and round the session off. Any questions? Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you very much too. Thank you. Okay, it seems no one has any questions. So thank you everybody for attending the class. And Amara, I would send this to you. I would save your email so that we can be able to add you up to the list. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. And bye-bye.